Before the man got on the plane, he suddenly noticed three strange coincidences. The date was October 15th, and the flight he was taking was flight 1015. Even the departure time was delayed to 10:15 because of the weather. All these coincidences made him feel uneasy. Before boarding, he couldn't help but ask if the flight would go smoothly. After getting an affirmative answer, he had no choice but to go inside. But as the man sat down, he suddenly saw an MP3 player that hadn't been turned off. He was about to give it to the flight attendant, but when he saw what was playing on it, he was stunned. The screen read the mysterious story of flight 1015. Out of curiosity, he put on the headphones and began to listen carefully. To his surprise, it described in detail what was happening at that very moment. For example, it mentioned the flight attendant doing the safety demonstration and that it was raining heavily outside. He checked and found that it was indeed true. Then it continued, saying that in 1 hour, the plane would lose contact with the control tower and crash. The man thought it was absurd, but he still told the bald man sitting next to him about the MP3. However, the bald man didn't believe him and thought he was mentally unstable. He made an excuse and left. With no other choice, the man continued to listen alone. Next, the MP3 announced that the plane would hit a flock of birds at 10:21. He quickly pulled back the window shade and saw that there was nothing outside, which made him breathe a sigh of relief. But the next second, there was a loud bang. Seeing that everything the MP3 had said had come true, he immediately called the flight attendant to ask about the situation. But the flight attendant denied it, and they argued about it. After the flight attendant left, a man with a beard approached the man and said he believed the plane had hit birds. However, the bearded man also said that such vibrations wouldn't affect the flight and told him not to worry. He then left, leaving the man standing there alone. The man had no choice but to put on the headphones and continue listening. But the more he listened, the more scared he became. The MP3 announced that the plane would crash and lose contact at 11:15, and that none of the 117 passengers would survive. In order to find out the cause of the crash, the man wrote down all the suspicious points on a piece of paper and started to eliminate them one by one. But after checking everything, he found no problems with the passengers, the flight attendants, or the cockpit. When he heard the MP3 say that there was an air marshal on this flight, whose duty was to protect a witness going abroad to identify the mafia, he thought he had found the reason. It must have been the mafia that attacked the flight to stop the air marshal. He then began to look for who might be the mafia. The two big men in the front row were the most suspicious, as their appearance fit the description perfectly. So the man found a flight attendant and asked her to call the air marshal, but she didn't know who the air marshal was. Seeing this, he had no choice but to leave. But as he was about to go out the door, he ran into the bearded man again. What would he do next?